You know what? I'm just going to start here. I'm going to say it. People are probably, you can clip this, make fun of me, whatever. I think the Sixers are going to re-sign Tyrese Maxey next year. I really do.
Wow. I didn't even think about that. Do you think he could get a max extension? Do you think they'll end up regret paying him that, like the Tobias Harris contract?
You can't go too crazy. You can't go too crazy. You've got a lot of people to re-sign. You got to bring Kelly Oubre back. You got to re-sign Buddy Hield.
Buddy Hield, obviously. Yeah. D'Anthony Melton, Robert Covington.
Buddy Hield, who got Maxey going. Maxey was in piss and shit.
Yep.
And Buddy Hield turned to him on the bench. Chemistry locker room signing. Daryl, always accused of being a calculator rat, understood.
He knew that Buddy was good vibes. He knew Buddy was good vibes. He said, look, what's better vibes than being from the Bahamas? He said, chill place, very laid back. You know, Buddy would come here and restore the vibes. Many people are calling it the Tyrese Maxey game. I'm calling it the Buddy Hield game, personally, for what he was able to do. What a triumph by Buddy Hield in Madison Square Garden to tell Tyrese Maxey to stop being a bitch. He's basically like, just go do it. He basically did what I was saying on the stream in the first half of the stream. When I was like, why is he turning down shots? Why is he not being aggressive? Me and Buddy Hield personally made Tyrese Maxey have this incredible game. And it's really funny because obviously we thought the series was over. We were both sitting there like, all right, this is dead in the water. You know, it feels like karmic justice for game 2, because game 2, obviously the Sixers should have won that game, you know, due to some mental mistakes, let's say, and some questionable refereeing and just lack of effort on the boards from the Sixers. They lose game 2. They steal game 5 in the most insane fashion possible. And to have Tyrese Maxey to be the one to do it after, you know, fumbling the ball in game 2, sending it back to Philly, 3-2 series. This feels right. Like, this is the best first round series I can remember probably since Clippers Spurs. Like, what was the last first round series that's been this? Even if it doesn't go 7, even if the Knicks win the next game, what first round series has had every single game close? The biggest lead in this series has got to be like 12 points. And there's ferocious comebacks. There is game-winning shots for both teams. Insane shit happening throughout this entire series. Joel Embiid looking like a fucking zombie out there half the time, playing 50 minutes on one knee and a broken face, basically. I mean, this has been the most drama-filled, insane first-round matchup I can remember in quite some time.
Well, it's also got like, all due respect to Spurs and Clippers, it's also like a big Northeast fan base, like series, and you have Knicks fans who like haven't been there for a while, who are just wound up and just, you know, being very rambunctious online. You have Sixers fans.
They're going gabagool mode.
Yeah, they're going gabagool mode. Sixers fans have been hurt too many times. The nihilism like is setting in, but they also just like can't quite quit like this team, and I wouldn't either. They're very good. Like, so it certainly has a lot of drama. It honestly, in terms of first round series, I didn't even think about Spurs Clippers. The one I thought of was Bulls Celtics in 2009.
That was a good. Oh, that was wow. Yeah, that was 2009. I was thinking about last year's Kings Warriors was good, but I feel like only 2 or 3 of the games were actually really close. I don't remember. Like, I remember the Harrison Barnes game where he missed the shot at the end, and then obviously Steph going insane in Game 7 was notable for a first round series. But yeah. I mean, I like I said, that series went 7, right?
Yes, yeah. Okay. The Kings one, yeah.
So that series went. No, I'm talking Celtics Bulls.
Celtics Bulls went 7 too, yeah.
That went 7. And we're not used to this in the East at all. Like, it's like we've had shit just fucking complete layup series early in the playoffs for so long that to have, like you said, with these two fan bases going into, I said it's like it's basically just been like an exchange of Schadenfreude back and
Yeah.
forth. Like my video blows up the other day because I'm going Sam Kinison mode.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm about to shoot myself in the head if they can't get a rebound. And then Knicks fans thinking the series is over. Deuce McBride hits that shot. They're tweeting. They're talking shit. They're going insane. And then the script completely flips on them. Two of the craziest endings in NBA playoff history for games to happen at Madison Square Garden both times too. Like,
yeah,
I just don't. The thing with the Maxey part of it to me is like, I said this before, and I'm just gonna stop trying to figure out how good he can be, because every time I do, I'm like, a few years ago, I was like, I remember being like, when he was drafted, I was like, it would be awesome if he like made an all-star team or two. Then I was like, oh, he's very clearly going to make an all-star team. And then I was like, could he make like all NBA teams? And now I'm looking at it like people are arguing whether he can be they were arguing before this game, he's not good enough to be a number 2 on a contender. And I'm like, I don't know what you've been watching this series, but he had one not very good game in game 4. And the rest of the series, he's been arguably, look, the Joel part of it is he's clearly breaking down the last 2 games. I'm not giving Joel excuses. This is always the thing with him. Like this is just part of who he is, whether it's a physical thing, a mental thing, not good enough thing, whatever. Joel is somehow the most essential part of this team, and possibly at times the most damaging part of this team, because they need him to organize the offense. They need him to protect the rim on defense. And when he goes to the bench, everything sinks. And Maxey is the first guy that, credit to Harden, who bailed out the Sixers twice last year, but Maxey is the first guy that has consistently been able to bail out Joel Embiid when he doesn't have it, which, as we've seen throughout the course of this series, he can be great for a half, and then he is just completely like lost for stretches, whether he's gassed or he's hurt or he's just, kind of going through a funk or whatever. And Maxey has been so essential and so important to this team as well, but he still can't carry the team when Joel sits. Now, part of that is this team just fucking sucks. Like outside of Maxey and Embiid, this supporting cast has been incredibly disappointing outside of like random campaign Lowry and Oubre stretches. Like it's been
Batum's been pretty good.
Batum's defensively has been awesome. Yeah. Offensively, dude, he's shooting like 15%. He's got to be shooting what? Someone could look this up. He's got to be, I'm going off the top of my head, he's got to be shooting like 20% from 3 in this series. Like uncharacteristically, he has been a bad shooter in this series when they've needed guys to just hit open shots. And that's been the problem. Melton missed every 3 he took in the series. Buddy missed every 3 he took in this series. Tobias finally showing up last night. Well, when Tobias showed up for this game, I was like, there's no way we're going to lose the game where Tobias is normal. And they almost did. And then obviously they pull it out of their ass. But just wrapping up the Maxey point on this, I'm not putting a ceiling on this guy anymore. He's 23 years old. He's probably, if not the best off-ball guard in the NBA, second behind Steph. And he is growing as an on-ball creator, improved playmaker, improved just offensive creator in general. And then the last part of this is like, we talked about this on the draft episode we did, where like the league is built on outliers. Maxey is an outlier in a lot of ways. Outlier speed, outlier touch, outlier work ethic. I kind of think that you need to just stop acting like he can't be, because I think that he is legitimately in the same, at least near the same tier as Anthony Edwards, who everyone just assumes is going to be a top 5 player. Like, I'm genuinely to the point where I'm like, if Maxey ends up a top 10 player in the NBA, I'm not going to be shocked, because he's 23 years old.
Yeah. Yep. And something I saw, I think Will was replying to someone, because somebody had a tweet today where they were comparing like Maxey's freshman year stats with like Rob Dillingham's, as far as like a Kentucky guard, which is like a game you can play.
Sure.
Because Maxey was like pretty good. Like Will's point that he made was like, you have to understand like what an insane shooting outlier Maxey was like in terms of immediate improvement when coming to the league, and then just immediate, like he's an elite 3-point shooter and has been pretty much ever since he came into the league, and is elite in like movement shooting, step backs, like pull-ups.
Saved
like
your life during the game last night.
Yes.
Sam
Yes,
said
life.
He said, "I bet my life that Maxey hits a 3 on this possession," and he did. So
let's
but
go.
You're right. Like
Maxey,
you went from 29% in college to like high volume 40% in the league, hitting some of the most difficult threes you've ever seen in the end of that game and in an overtime. And by the way, Batum is shooting 35% from 3 on this series. I don't understand how that's possible. I feel like I can remember 1 3 he's made, but good for you, Nicholas Batum. I'm sorry for slandering you. But long story short on this, even if the Sixers don't come back to win this series, I'm fine. I'll be upset, of course. I'll be going fucking insane on the streams when we do it in game 6 and 7. But I am fine with the outcome of whatever happens this season because the Sixers have done the hard part. This is the hard part. Getting guys like Embiid and Maxey is the hard part. Finding the other pieces is much simpler, especially when you have $70 million in cap space potentially. If the Sixers lose this series, bye-bye Paul Reed too, because his contract doesn't get guaranteed. And then...
Oh, wow. I forgot about that.
Right? I was like, he's literally
yeah.
costing himself millions of dollars in this series. Like, not figuratively, literally costing himself millions. But they've done the hard part. Embiid, Maxey, and then whoever else you can get around them after this season with those picks, with that cap space, they have figured out that part at least. Now, the Joel question mark will always be with the health and the playoff stuff and blah, blah, blah. But on the whole, they've done all of the hard things. Like last night was just more proof that they're set up well for the next 3 to 4 years, and then even potentially beyond that if Maxey continues to improve. Are you frozen? Oh yeah, Sam's frozen.
That's all right. I'm back. I'm back.
You're thinking really hard.
I was thinking. I was thoughtful. No, my thing with Maxey that I just the thing that I just want to go back to that point that like your point that he's, you know, the league is built on outliers and he is an outlier. It's Kawhi-like development for a guy, you know, and that's the hard part with projecting these guys and the task that draft Twitter guys have that makes it so tough is what do we like who you can't predict this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you kind of have to bet on work ethic. You have to bet on attitude. You have to bet on raw, all of this stuff. And yeah, honestly, I'm not just saying this because I'm on the Sixers podcast. Like it does. Like, I see people like nitpicking. Was like, well, Maxey's never going to be like an elite defender. It's like, yeah, okay, fine. He's a small guard. Like that, like type of player, you never get positive value out of that type of player, like ever. Like you're never going to get positive defensive value. I think it's totally possible. Maxey could, you know, makes all the NBA in his career and not just on third team. So like very interesting. We'll see what happens. You know, with the Sixers going forward. I agree with you. I think the Sixers are honestly like a pretty good spot.
You said this to me before this game, and I was like, whatever, dude. I don't even care. Like, I was like, this series has been so disappointing. And then last night was just a reminder of why you're right, that they'll be fine. Like, regardless of what happens in this series, they're set up pretty well for the next few years, even if in this moment they lose in the first round and you know, and I'll be pissed that they punted on a year or whatever. But at the same time, like they have a chance, an opportunity to change what their long-term outcome can be. And now that we know Maxey's this good, it makes everything else easier. This game, I mean, I can't believe that Maxey is this good, and he saved Joel Embiid from some historical generational slander in that game. If Joel lost that game the way that he played, I know he finished with like a triple-double and almost a quadruple.
It was a quadruple double.
They didn't count the last turnover for some reason. He only had
okay.
But he behind only Moses Malone and Charles Barkley for turnovers in a playoff game, the TNT broadcast said last night. But he saved Joel from some insane slander. And honestly, just to get the opportunity to go to overtime, Joel was really big in overtime. Like, I thought that he was done. When he went to the bench, I was like, oh, he's done, dude. Like, he's just physically and mentally, and there's no way he's going to be able to battle back from this. And in overtime, he was great on the boards for them. He was great defensively, and he hit a big and one that it feels like going into game 6 and 7 now, the strategy for the Knicks is going to shift from, okay, we need to stop trying to sell out to stop Joel Embiid, and we need to sell out to stop Tyrese Maxey.
Yes.
Because the one times, honestly, there's been like 2 times in this series where Maxey has struggled. And both of those times, it was because they were sending so much help at him and trying to confuse him with coverages. And he ended up either being not aggressive enough or too aggressive and either taking bad shots or turning the ball over. And in this game, I feel like the pressure's still on the Sixers for game 6 at home, which is now basically Madison Square Garden, but on the road because all the millionaires and billionaires. I had a buddy that went to the game the other day and he said a Knicks fan pulled up in a stretch limo and got out. That was the first Knicks fan he saw. Awesome. I was like, great, awesome. Yeah, the hardworking grit of New York City. They love to act like they're like the lunch pail team. And then they have like some guy who probably got rich off of fucking oil in the Middle East.
Yeah. As a pot of oil exec is getting out. Like,
just salt of the earth, quite literally.
Was it that what's his name, David Zaslow or whatever the hell his name was courtside last night? The fucking the guy who's like ruining TV, like that billionaire guy. Like every bad person was also in the audience along with all the celebrities. So
yeah, it was like they were panning and it was like, oh look, that war criminal. Was Woody Allen at the game? I know he was in New York. He's a big Knicks fan.
They hide him.
They
don't put him on the thing. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, so like I said, going into game 6, pressure is still on the Sixers to win this game. Pressure is still on Joel Embiid to, I think he's been great for quarters in this series. He's been great for halves. And then obviously game 3, he couldn't miss from 3 and it was incredible. But they're going to need a better Joel performance because they can't expect Maxey to do this every single game. He's actually been better on the road than he has been at home this series. At Madison Square Garden, I can't even believe I'm saying this. At Madison Square Garden, Maxey is averaging 38 points, 7.7 assists, and 5.3 rebounds per game. In this series.
That's nuts. This is the one where you get buoyed by your role players. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the hope, right? Like, you get buoyed by your role players. Like, honestly, I think it's about Joel playing, but limiting Joel's damage.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, Joel just needs to, like, not turn the ball over, I think. Like, honestly. Like, I think not turning the ball over is, like, something I would be telling Nick Nurse every time. They fucking suck on offense. I'm sorry, that was my other takeaway from the Knicks suck. That was the other takeaway I had from the game last night. Like,
they're so heat coded, dude.
They are the Heat, man. Like, it, like, how is there like no scoring for like an insane amount of time? Like, that's the under the radar thing. Like, credit to Maxey, credit to everyone. They like went absolute turd mode in overtime, especially like, and I think part of that is when you're the home team and you blow a lead like that, and the crowd gets silent, like it makes you tight. But this is
the first 5 points of overtime, and I was like, oh no, it's over again.
Yeah.
And then I don't think they scored from that point on.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, like, maybe some of the Knicks are tired, but like they've got like a decent rotation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really not that different from what like most playoff teams play. And like,
their rotations, the strength of their rotation is they don't play shitters.
Yeah.
They even like people will make this Bojan Bogdanovic thing a big deal. It's better for them that Josh Hart and whoever else on the wing, OG, has to play more minutes.
Yeah.
Like, Bojan was not changing anything. Like, Deuce McBride had to play more minutes yesterday because they needed some offensive juice, and he's been killing the Sixers this whole series.
Knicks fans are saying that this series is over if Julius Randle plays, and I agree. This series would be over, and the Knicks would be going home if Julius Randle played.
That's exactly what I said. I was like, do you miss Julius Randle now? I'm like, so you're telling me the Sixers would get more opportunities? Like, we saw Joel melt down yesterday.
Oh my God.
If we had a meltdown Julius Randle game in this, like, the Sixers would have their opportunities to score running in this series would be way better off. But
I almost don't want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
I almost don't want to say it. Bucks Sixers might still be on. We still have a shot.
It seems insane to say. I mean, technically, it's 3-2. I said it like this. Before this game, I said, if they lose, whatever, I'll be upset. But, I still feel good about the long-term outcome of the team. I'm still going to be fucking annoyed that they blew this series. But if they win the game, flip the 2 games and say, basically the Sixers won game 4 and lost game 5. Yeah. And I think a lot of people that watch the Sixers would feel a lot better about their chances now, because it seems impossible to win 3 straight games. But now it's a fucking 2-game series. Like, yes, the Sixers have to win both games, but they win on Thursday and the pressure is immediately flipped back to the Knicks, because we're house money if we win this next game and we push it to 7. It's like the Knicks should obviously still be favored. And they somehow didn't even win the rebounding battle last night and still should have won that game. But the Sixers have a shot. They have a puncher's chance in these last 2. And the Bucks, on the other hand, if Giannis or Dame can come back, they've got to feel great about all themselves. Like, they got to feel great about their chances to not only win this series, but win the next series. Because I think there's a chance that if you get fresh legs Giannis back, and then you go into Sixers-Knicks, which, by the way, no matter what happens, game 1 will be 2 days after both of those game 7s. If they go to 7. So the Sixers and Knicks are going to be beaten to shit after this series. It's physical. People are fucking punching people in the mouth like every other game. Yeah. And Bucks Pacers is a joke compared to this on a physicality level. And you get a fresh Giannis. So the Bucks got to be feeling really good about their chances if Giannis can come back. And then, the Sixers have a shot. I'm, like I said, not getting my hopes up. Losing, and I keep seeing people say, like, it would be so Sixers to lose game 6 at home after this, and it would be even more crushing. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, it wouldn't be. Last night is why we watch basketball, dude. Like, if you are upset if they lose game 6 or game 7, getting game 5 is why we do this shit. Like, that was what it was about. Like, I don't care if they lose. I'm leaving here with something.
It's an agenda game. That is an agenda game. We are here for agendas. Like, I'm sorry. Like, the NBA is here for agendas. Like, and that is part of it. Like, you always have my 23-year-old star put his nuts on the table. And like came up with like one of the 100, like, have been 142 situations where someone's down 6 with 26 seconds to go, and one of them was won via Tyrese Maxey.
It is something that, like I said, it's why we're here. I'm leaving here with something, even if it's false long-term hope. A year ago, people were comparing this kid to fucking Tyler Hero and Jordan Poole. And now he is going to likely make multiple All-NBA teams in his career. And like I said, not putting a ceiling on him, not putting a cap on him. And it's just incredible to see, dude. Like, I'm really happy for him. I'm happy for the fact that we get to have another public meltdown potential from me on a stream. Or maybe I'll be really happy. Maybe the Knicks fans will be in piss and shit for once. So
I can phone in from 7 minutes earlier from my video feed that is 7 minutes behind. That was so funny in all the clips you're going insane, and it's just me from like 3 minutes earlier, and it looks like I'm just like
sipping a water bottle.
yeah, sipping a water. Like I was going nuts when Maxey hit that fucking logo 3. That was we didn't even talk about that. That is like one of the most insane shots I've ever seen in my entire life.
So Simmons called it a no yes shot.
Yes, that's how I agree. To be honest, I was like, "There's 10
but
seconds
it's not.
left."
They were trying to foul him.
I guess that's true. That's true.
Sixers were in the bonus. Thibs, if you watch the replay, Thibs is running on the court trying to get Deuce McBride to foul him, and Embiid sets the screen so we can't foul him. And then Mitchell Robinson's coming up. If Mitchell Robinson is literally a step quicker, he can foul him before he gets the shot off. But I'm sure he was horrified because he just fouled Maxey on an and one.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
To even have this be a game in the first place, Maxey hits that shot, and like it wasn't a no-yes shot. Maxey was aware of the situation this time. He was aware, I need to make this shot in order for us to have a chance, because if we score 2 or if I get 2 free throws, like we're not gonna have enough time to regroup. Like it's possible the season is over. So he was actually, it was the opposite of game 2. He had the awareness in these situations of what he needed to do. He learned from the mistakes in game 2, even though, by the way, Ben Taylor talks about this a lot with the winning versus losing bias thing, where the day after a 2-point game, all we'll talk about, like, so for example, after game 2, Knicks go up 2-0. We get this insane Knicks propaganda. Oh, they're just hardworking, and they play together, and they play for each other, and and that's the outcome of that. Mm-hmm. If one thing goes different in that game, we're talking about Tyrese Maxey a week ago. We're not like Tyrese Maxey. People forget in that game, outside of the last play, had like 10 points in the last 5 minutes of that game. That
was honestly, I'm just going to say, it seemed like on the stream you were more pissed about them ruining the Maxey game than them being down 2-0.
Oh, 100. No, I unironically was, because I thought that they were done in the series. Yeah. I was not okay. So during game 2, I obviously didn't think they were done in the series, but I was more pissed to the fact that 1, I didn't get the Maxey propaganda, and 2, the moment that everyone will remember from Maxey in that game, if they lose the game and lose the series, is him fumbling the ball at the end, when he was the reason they were winning in the first place. He was incredible down the stretch of that game. And that's kind of the whole thing on this, is like, now we're getting the Maxey victory laps because he obviously saved the team, saved the season. But one thing goes in the other direction, and today it's all, can the Knicks make the finals? It's the complete opposite side of the spectrum. So I just don't want to get lost in the everything that has happened over the last 24 hours. But like I said, this is why we do it. This is the agendas, the propaganda. It's just been so much fun. Even with the lows, like look, people get, I was pissed at Joel last night when he kept turning it over. I was just like, here we go again. This fucking sucks. That I can't even defend him like I was earlier in the series. What are we going to do? But I'm glad he toughed it out. And I'm glad that he, first off, even as much as I love Maxey, if Joel wasn't on the Sixers, they would have won 27 games this year. They were like a 30-pace win team when Joel was out. They wouldn't even be in this situation if it weren't for Joel. So regardless of how I feel about some of the playoff limitations and some of the whatever goes on with Joel, they need both of them. And that's what they really need in these last 2 games, is that Joel still has yet to, he has an impact, as I said. They can't play without him, but he's still really yet to have the signature Joel Embiid playoff series. Like, he's had random games where he's been great. He's had random runs. Obviously, he had a 50-point game in this series, but it still feels like he's waiting for a moment where he can just, that was the game that he was the reason they specifically won a series, and we can tie something to it. And we'll see in the next 2 games whether that is the case or not. Or whether Bill Simmons will have another rant on how he's the worst playoff superstar of all time.
Bill taking L's. We love to see it.
And then he has Fantasy on the podcast, and Fantasy is, first off, I just want to put this out here. We're an unhinged podcast. We make a lot of jokes. We riff on a bunch of insane shit. I don't think I've ever done what Fantasy did on that podcast, calling Joel Embiid a bitch and saying that he should not be able to play in the NBA, outside of maybe when I was drunk talking about Jimmy Butler. And to be fair, in my defense, the Jimmy Butler thing was I was a scorned ex in that situation. He left us. He fucked us.
I can't be held accountable for what is made in emotions.
Yeah, exactly.
I despise Jimmy Butler for very personal reasons. As I see myself in him as a theater kid. So that's my reason that I don't like Jimmy Butler. I mean, that was a pretty, for a national podcast, for a national high visibility podcast, that was a pretty
insane thing to have.
Bill is so mad, dude. Bill is so mad. He was charging up like a Super Saiyan for the Embiid slander, and he doesn't get to use it. He's so upset.
It's obvious why he had Fantasy on that podcast instead of Chris Ryan, who barely even cares about the Sixers anymore, but he's the only Sixers fan he knows. So that works at the Ringer, so he always has him on. All the other, I don't know what happened to all the other Philly people that worked at the Ringer. They just don't seemingly work there anymore. It's weird.
Yeah, I wonder what the deal is with that. I'm sure Kevin O'Connor and nephew Kyle can bring us up to speed on what happened there.
State of the union, if you will,
so to speak. Mental health is health, by the way. I thought that was very insane. Bill has been like very annoying to me like this whole time. Like, I don't know. I'm the my agenda thing that I'm telling myself is if the Celtics lose, I do get to victory lap on Drew's Bill's absurd love of Drew Holiday, who is like good but is like fine. Like Bill acts like Drew Holiday is like the game-changing like ingredient for the Boston Celtics, and it's like.
Do you know the meme of Ryan Gosling where he's holding the girl back in Drive, and then it says she's mid but I like her?
Yes.
That's Bill with Drew Holiday.
Yeah. And it's just
he's
like
mid, but I like him.
Yeah, it's just all the like most insane things. Drew's been like unreal on defense as advertised. Every time Drew Holiday has gotten a chance to do something on offense, it has been like a diarrhea CTE disaster. And it's been fine because the Celtics have like Derek White being awesome has like really bailed the Celtics out of that, where they don't need Drew Holiday to do anything because Derek White is just straight up a good offensive player now. Porzingis being hurt means we are that much closer to Drew Holiday having real offensive responsibilities in the playoffs, and that is not. Drew Holiday needs to be Andre Roberson, and he's like the LeBron James of Andre Robersons in the playoffs. So like this is and that's what we need from him. That's good. That's a good thing. It's a bad thing when all of a sudden you're counting on your Andre Roberson to be like provide offense for you, like as like your third or fourth best player. And like with Porzingis out, now we're like that much closer to Drew having to like actually do things.
Drew do mode. I am actually shocked at the comment saying that Drew is averaging 7 points on 40% true shooting. That's worse than Tobias, dude. Like
part of the low point total is they don't need him to do anything.
Sure.
Like they don't need him to do anything. And like I want to reiterate, like I'm not being unfair to Drew. He has been awesome on defense. You know, this is again what calmed me down after we lost Smart, because I was like, we're not going to have anyone to do that stuff.
Sorry. I just had a flashback to 2021 of me defending Ben Simmons.
Okay, there we go. Oh, Jesus.
We really need his defense and his connective passing, though.
Yes. I unironically, yes. I believe that. Derek, if Derek is having a bad game and Tatum is having a bad game, and now that Porzingis is out, we're very reliant on Drew Holiday. You know what, though? We actually might be being saved by Peyton Pritchard, who multiple times has been saying, I'm just going to say, Peyton Pritchard's been pretty good.
You've never been a Peyton Pritchard guy, too.
No.
So I will take your word for this.
He's been pretty good. And like, he hasn't been like, he's not awesome. Like, he has the same issues you always have, but
Sure.
you know, he's a really good offensive rebounder for a 5'9" guy or whatever the fuck he is, and he does like really good stuff. So like I think
a
the
good
Celtics
playoff for ball don't stop guys, except for the
Yes.
Suns.
Yeah. So yeah, I know he's actually 6'1", but he 6'1", like he's a Chris Paul 6'1". Like I don't know about that, but like Sam Hauser's been pretty good too. So I don't know. Just do we want to do the Porzingis thing really quick? Because I
was gonna say we're burying the lead here because none of what we've discussed matters for this series. I mean, you're up 3-1.
Yeah.
I know it's the Heat.
No, they won 2 in a row. The drama's the PTSD is gone. Just game 2, the way they won game 2 was just very upsetting, and the fact that the series was tied like brought it back for a second. But I'm good now. I'm good.
I was gonna say on the Patreon episode we did last week, I was like, it might be happening again. Like I don't think the Heat can win this series, but man, the way they won game 2, the Celtics have to punch them in the mouth in game 3 and 4, and neither of those games felt remotely close the entire time. So that they handled their business. They can wrap up the series tonight, even with another Satan level shooting game. I don't think that Miami has a real chance to win this series, and I would expect them to wrap it in 5 at a maximum 6.
Wolf made this joke in our text thread. The series was over once the Heat let the Celtics steal one at home. Like, honestly, the Celtics could lose tonight. There's so much but they just get a free win in game 6. The Celtics always win in South Beach. Always. They're way worse at home against the Heat than they are.
Yeah, that is weird. All their big wins I can think of, like the Derek White game last year, these last 2 games, obviously just wiping them. They tend to perform a lot better.
2-1 last year in Miami in that series.
Oh yeah. They closed the missed shot.
I forget the exact stats. Someone like they were saying them on air during the game, but it's like the Celtics are like 16-11 in Miami over like the last like few in the playoffs over the last whatever times, the few times like, and they've lost 3 series or 2
that's
series.
wild.
You know, like so it's very silly. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The Porzingis thing, sorry. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, we will talk about it in a second. 2 things I just want to say. I always joke about the Heat having devil magic.
Yeah.
Someone said this in our group DM earlier. The Celtics getting Derek White and him turning into like a fringe all-star level offensive player, while the Sixers got DeAnthony Melton and they were like kind of similarly level players when they acquired them, and Melton is just unplayable in the playoffs and his back is cooked. That's some devil magic for sure. Derek White becoming like a light Steph Curry basically as a shooter since he's got to Boston. You got some devil magic on your side. And honestly, he beat the allegations in the last game, because I was starting to be like, is Derek White a playoff dropper? Like I think defensively he always brings it, but offensively I was starting to be like, I don't really know if he's a guy that you can trust. And then he was the best player on the court in the last game.
He's really streaky, like in the playoffs. Like he's a streaky guy. Like he'll I pretty much blame him for us not winning the title in 2022. Like look at his playoff splits from 2022. He had like a true shooting of like 45 in the for the playoffs, for the entire playoffs in 2022. But then he was amazing last year. He was like lights out in the Atlanta series. Like, so he's just like a very streaky player, and he's really good. And that was the best game I've ever seen him play, game 4. I don't know if you even bothered watching that, but he was unreal in game 4.
He was amazing. Yeah. I mean, I watched, I caught a little bit of it. I was trying to take a mental health break from the NBA that night. People think it was a joke that I was like breaking down mentally on Sunday. I was genuinely disturbed. Like that game shook me to my core, to the point where I was like, I booked an extra therapy session. This is not a bit. I'm not doing a bit. So I did take a night off a little bit, but I caught some of some of Derek White's heater, and then I caught I had to watch the end of the Lakers Nuggets game, because that series was like a heroin series. Just the amount of drama and just pure dopamine hits in that. I don't know. I'm not even a Lakers hater. I was just like, it was such an entertaining series. I had to catch it, but we can't move off this yet. We have to talk about Porzingis because Sam takes off his glasses. He's rubbing his face for those who are listening on audio. So, okay. Do we know if this is the same injury that Giannis has? Is that the idea?
It's the same muscle, where they're being very coy about the level of strain. Because with Giannis, they came right out and said it was a grade 2. We don't know what the grade is. If it's a grade 1, he's probably just missing the this Magic Cleveland series that is going to be a euthanization. This is going to be the worst series of all time. I'm jinxing them. I feel pretty comfortable saying this is going to be the worst series of all time. The Celtics,
if Cleveland or Orlando come out of that series, I'm saying no matter who comes out of that series.
No matter who comes out of that series, the Celtics should win that in 4 or 5.
Even without Porzingis.
Even without Porzingis.
I was going to say to you, I don't think they lose another game until the ECF, but I thought that was going to. I thought you were going to be in full doomer mode and be like, no way.
Even without Porzingis, I think the Magic are like a capable team, but they just shoot like 25% from 3, like way too much. And you can't do that against like the Celtics. The Celtics are going to be like.
And Donovan Mitchell will have a random insane shooting game that will probably win the Cavs game. To be fair to them, where it's just.
I don't know. The Cavs have horrible vibes.
They do.
Them winning that game last night, even with that, they're masked. I know, I don't want to shit on Cavs fans because I think Cavs fans are actually pretty good fans a lot of the time, and I don't want to be mean to them.
No. Cavs fans are like Sixers fans though. They know.
Yeah. Well, they're enjoying Mobley. You know what I'm saying? They're
Sure.
Victory lapping Mobley, and I don't want to step on that. It's okay, it's your young guy, but the Cavs are dead on arrival. They are tricking everyone just because the Magic are just absolutely shitting their pants on the road offensively every time they get a chance. So that won't matter. But I don't know. There's a lot of not specifics going on. And I tweeted this, I think we're a couple weeks away from and we'll send it to Allie LaForest on the sidelines. Allie. Yeah, thanks, Clark. Porzingis did shoot around here before the game here at MSG, and he's traveling with the team. And I caught up with Charles Lee, who says that Porzingis is not doing contact drills yet, but they hope to get him doing that in the next week. And that'll be game 4 at MSG, when that's going on.
Are you calling the Wells Fargo Center MSG because the Knicks have been taking over?
Okay, Wells Fargo Center. There we go. Fair enough.
For the brand, we need that to be the Eastern Conference Finals, dude.
Yes.
It's really funny you say that, though, because just real quick back to the Cavs thing.
Yeah.
I do think Cavs fans are realistic, but also, and good for them for winning that game last night.
Yes.
I've been higher on the Cavs than the Magic, and you've been higher on the Magic than the Cavs.
Yeah.
Both of those teams should get wiped when they play the Celtics.
Yes.
But last night kind of just continues to prove the point that we've been making.
Yeah.
They can't win with both the bigs.
No.
Allen was out. Allen is better than Mobley. And he was out for that game. And they won the game because those two were just completely contradicting skill sets.
Yeah.
They can't score when both of them play.
No.
So defensively, they just, they had a great performance last night. And look, Mobley was awesome and saved the game and potentially the season for them. But ultimately, if your two of your 4 best players can't play together, I don't feel great about your chances. It's the same reason why I was fading the Pelicans even when Zion was healthy, was because all of the data suggested they're actually better when one of their best guys sits.
Donovan Mitchell's gone. They're gonna need to pivot. They're gonna need to trade Jared Allen and pivot, and that's fine. That's fine. They're still in pretty good shape. Provided if they they've got to nail this thing, but it's not like they're gonna be a terrible team. It's not like they're gonna be in the situation like the Nets or the Suns are in, where it's you're giving up really good picks and sending them out the door because you're bad every year, so. Well,
they already sent a lot of their picks for Mitchell.
That's what I'm saying. I don't, but I'm saying they're not going to be they're not going to be a Raptor. I don't think they're going to be Raptors level bad if they trade Mitchell. Like I think that
It depends on what they get back. If they want to value a win now player,
I even think that I know everyone says Garland's like dog shit, and I know that's like Will's thing is like Garland's bad, but like I think like if you give Garland like a more normal running mate and like I think they will be a perfectly fine like play-in level team. Like I think they'll be like the Hawks or something.
That's fair.
Like that. Yeah, like, you know, like so. I don't think they're gonna. My point is I just don't think they're gonna be sending like top 5 picks or anything like that. And you can redo everything. You can get more picks back. The problem is, I mean, we're talking about we're gearing up for like one of the great slop summers of all time.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing
because like everyone. We had so many teams that were so good and had such high expectations, and we're watching all of that shit get ground to dust right now. And there's going to be a huge amount of evaluation, and I think the Cavs are going to be one of those teams that correctly looks around and goes, "Yeah, no, we don't got it. We gotta like hop back, you know." And
if you want proof of Zach Lowe's influence over the media and the NBA, look no further than teams the Pelicans, the Jazz, the Bulls, all these teams that are just like, we're pushing in our chips. Fuck it. Because who knows what the world is going to look like in 2030, Bobby Marks.
Yeah,
the peasants could uprise, overthrow. Maybe the NBA doesn't exist. Maybe we all boil from the sun taking over and the oceans consuming us. Make your trades now. Picks are fake. Sell your assets. Get rid of it all. It's over.
This is and well, Tim Connelly listened to him and might have built a contender. So, you
honestly, Tim Connelly has built the 2 best teams in the NBA right now: the Wolves and the Nuggets. Realistically, obviously the Celtics too, but realistically, 2 of the 3 best teams in the NBA right now were built by Tim Connelly. To at least a certain extent.
No, I think you give Tim Connelly pretty much complete. Did he make the Gordon trade? He did, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I think Tim Connelly gets credit for all that shit. Like
the only moves that were made by the Booth front office were KCP, which is a good move.
That's a good move. That's a good move. Yeah.
But we also have information that deal was on the table at the deadline for just Will Barton. And they ended up not doing it, which they obviously should have, but Jamal was out that season anyway, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But long story short on this, he built that whole team except for signing Bruce Brown and getting Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Bruce Brown's already gone. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was kind of the last thing to put the cherry on top of all this, but Tim Connelly, but I don't know why Nuggets fans hate Tim Connelly. I think that he did a really good job. And look, it's a year ago we were sitting here being like,
he drafted an MVP in the 2nd round. How often has that happened? That like can't have happened that often. And MVP was the 2nd.
If you want to talk about draft strategy too, they obviously get, and he talked about how they got like historically lucky with that.
Right.
There are Nuggets fans that hated on Tim Connelly because he only signed small guards during the season that Jamal Murray was hurt, the 2 seasons. And I was like, Jamal Murray's out. This doesn't matter. If Jamal Murray was healthy, then sure, that's fine. Yeah. But long story short here, just going back to, I don't even know, lost my fucking train of thought here.
I just, let me say this just while your train of thought is ruined. Tim Connelly is who the people think Sam Presti is. Tim Connelly, the Chad, all risky moves, signed Michael Porter Jr. to a giant
that was
what I was going to
say.
Yeah, like
the Michael Porter Jr. contract, we all were like, this is going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
He is, and also, even when Michael Porter Jr. was taken with that pick, we were like, that's a risky pick. Like, I mean, at 14, sure, why not? Like, even with the back stuff and all the injury concerns, it was a risk that he took, and it's worked out for them long term. They have the best conservative podcaster in the NBA now.
They have the number 1 guy at having his brothers get DUIs. The number 1 player at doing that.
Sir, a third quarter crime is dropped.
Oh goddamn! I just mean like I don't know. What Conley's done is so much more impressive because there's been real risks he's taken in building both of those teams. The Gobert trade, widely planned. Yep.
Forward thinking, he said, let's just get massive guys who are skilled.
Yep.
And by the way, that's kind of what works in the playoffs now. Like, I mean, we just had a whole rant about Tyrese Maxey and even Jalen Brunson. They're the outliers. Now that Steph's like not quite Steph anymore, the two outliers are Tyrese Maxey and Jalen Brunson. Like everyone else in the playoffs is like 6'5" and up. The guys who are really thriving in these playoffs are like 6'4", 6'5" and up, and very long and athletic. And look at the Nuggets and the Timberwolves as we go into that series, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's all long athletic dudes who have crazy skill up and down the roster. And it will probably be the best playoff series that we get in this playoffs in general, I would imagine. The Tim Conley Bowl.
I'm very excited for the Tim Conley Bowl here next week.
I can't believe we got away from talking about the Kristaps Porzingis injury.
I almost did it. I almost pulled it off.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter until the conference finals. I think we both agree on that.
Yes. It doesn't matter until the conference finals. I think everyone is buying the team's bullshit on. I think it's worse than everyone is letting on, and I think the more realistic timeline is somewhere in the conference. He's coming back during the finals, and he's going to be out of
finals, not the conference finals.
I don't know. This just reeks to me of a grade 2. I could totally eat shit. Like Porzingis could be back for Game 5 of the Cavs series. I don't know, or Game 4. You know, I'm just the way that it is being reported. The way, like, everyone is being very precious, the way Woj's tweet was worded, it seems to me like it was a grade 2, which is the Giannis injury, which means probably the finals. And he might not be very effective in the finals. And if that's it, we're probably going to actually play a good team in the finals, unlike the rest of the Eastern Conference run. I don't think it's gonna end well. Like we would need Jason Tatum to like really step up, and we would need like a bunch of other things. So, and I'm not totally sure we can get through. I'm less scared of the Knicks now after watching the Sixers. But if the Sixers or the Bucks get Giannis back,
you and my dad both. My dad was like, I saw my dad today, and he goes, "This team isn't even good. How we losing to this team?" And I'm like, it's the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
They try really hard. They don't play shitters. Yeah. And it's a little bit different than the Heat because I do genuinely think that every player in the Knicks rotation is good. Yeah. Like I don't think there's anyone in their rotation right now that Bojan's hurt, that is like a liability. They're all just like above average at a ton of shit. And then Jalen Brunson, they have a good defense. Their rebounding is like off the charts. They try really hard. And Jalen Brunson is a legit star now. And I've just been saying, like, he's not wrong in that the Sixers should be winning this series based on the talent discrepancy of the top players. But, like, when you reach that level of continuity, guys that played together in college, OG is one of the most plug-and-play players in the NBA. The rest of these guys have been playing together for, you know, between the Nova guys and the rest of the team, they've been playing together for like a year and a half now. Like they just have continuity. They're gelling. They're hitting their stride at the right time, and they could easily lose these next 2 games. And we could, you know, we could revisit this later. But like, I think if Porzingis is out, I don't think that the Knicks will win that series. Wouldn't be shocked if it goes 7. Like I'm telling you, it is Heat shit. Like I've said all season, I thought this was a bad matchup for the Sixers because of the rebounding factor. And I think that people overlook that. The Celtics won't struggle with that as much because the Celtics are much more athletic.
They will if Porzingis isn't in there, though.
Okay.
That like, you know, and the other thing about the Porzingis thing is Al Horford is like 37. And if Al goes down, we're like Mondo fucked.
Yeah, of course.
Now there's like a razor thin like level of, you know, everything, and you've got to play small, and you know, I mean, I guess we did get Xavier Tillman, which helps a little bit, like that. Like you could at least play Xavier Tillman a little bit, but like, I don't know. It's gonna be bad. I think we would beat the Knicks, but I think that if the Sixers somehow get through this, I think that's really fucking bad.
The Bucks.
I think if Giannis comes back,
I thought the Bucks were even more dead than the Sixers.
I think if the Bucks survive this, Chris Middleton, I might have to sign the apology for him for.
He's been amazing.
Bucks. I might have to sign the apology for him for Nihilus Bucks. I thought he was coping, but Chris Middleton is kind of that guy. Like, and I don't know.
Giannis and Dame are both doubtful for Thursday's game, so do keep that in mind, please.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how I feel just about the East in general.
Yeah.
I mean, Middleton, a lot of fan bases have been vindicated on their guys in this playoffs. Yeah. Maxey, Middleton. There's been a ton of, hey, we were always right about these dudes, and if anything, they're undervalued by the rest of the media and the rest of the general public. But I do just want to point out, Piss, who's commenting right now, said to me when Xavier Tillman was traded to the Celtics that he would spawn more podcast segments about him than playoff minutes. So we'll get.
Yeah, we'll see. It's coming. It's coming.
We'll get a chance to see here what Xavier Tillman's made of. Is he just an EPM merchant, or is he a real guy?
Can I give you a take? I think besides Jimmy Butler being hurt, I think this Heat team is better than last year's Heat team.
Well, look, if we want to talk about size and skill,
Hawkins and Jovic are real guys.
That's what I'm saying. Is like they have real wing talent now.
Yeah.
Those the amazing part about those Heat teams all these years is that Jimmy's been the only real consistent wing they've had.
Yeah.
Like Bam's a big, Hero and Robinson are effectively guards.
Yeah. Caleb Martin was like the only one they've had, really.
And he had one good series. Like Caleb Martin, the idea of Caleb Martin and how he performs in the playoffs is just based on that Celtic series and game 2 of this series. Like he's been largely bad in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they really haven't had the kind of wings and size and skilled guys.
Yeah. I love to shit on the Heat, and I love to like make up like shit about them to slander them. But like the Heat are like were actually pretty good the bubble year and the year they were the fucking 1 seed.
Yeah.
So like, like those teams were like pretty good. It's like literally just last year when they really went devil magic mode. Like
last year the outlier
is the insane outlier that like
other years that they were good in the regular season.
Yeah. But like I've been really impressed with Bam. Like Bam said I think his best playoff series to date is just like not enough, but like he's gotten every 18-footer he's wanted. He's played pretty well on defense. They just don't have the ammo. Like they just don't have the talent, and Tyler Hero sucks. is like the thing. So
yeah, no, I totally agree. Like they're completely outmanned. And this is what we expected. If it weren't for game 2, it would have been a sweep. And like, I shouldn't say obviously game 2 happened, but like if it weren't for them catching devil magic shooting in a game, this is what we expected. Like they have handled them. I mean, like if Jimmy played, maybe this goes 6 and they get, there's a little scare. I know that you're on the opposite side of that for contrarian reasons, but I do appreciate you being like, oh, the Heat are kind of cute now. Oh, Bam's having a nice series. Cute. Jovic and Yak, now that they're not a threat, you're like,
it made me so mad when they would beat me with shitty fucking players. They beat my fucking team with garbage fucking players. Now they actually have normal good players. Like, and it's like, yeah, they're getting their ass kicked, but they're playing normal. They're being a normal team. It's like less evil. Like it's less of an affront to God and nature, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, so they will probably, when they trade Jimmy Butler for Donovan Mitchell this offseason, they will be a really strong team in the East.
That's my prediction, is that they move Jimmy to another team, and then Donovan Mitchell ends up, whatever assets they get, they throw in stuff to get Donovan Mitchell.
Jimmy to LA as the LeBron replacement. It's coming.
God.
I'm telling you, I had a vision. I sat bolt upright in the night about that.
Everyone keeps talking about Devin Booker, and before it was Joel Embiid and Giannis to the Knicks.
Mhm.
Is there anyone that loves Jimmy Butler more than Tibbs?
Yeah, but he's not gonna. I really think Jimmy has a huge problem with a player that's better than him, and Jalen Brunson is better than Jimmy Butler. Like,
well, I think Brunson is. It's very funny because my comparison to those Miami Heat teams that have been doing this in the playoffs with this Knicks team is the fact that Brunson's in what I call the cool zone. A phrase I just came up with. No one's ever used it ever before.
Yeah.
The cool zone is the perfect space to be as an NBA player.
Yeah.
You are the 8th to the 14th best player in the NBA.
Yeah. Some
famous names that have occupied this. Damian Lillard, Anthony Davis, Jimmy Butler, now Jalen Brunson.
Yep.
You have moments and series and stretches where you can look like a top 5 player and everything's clicking and you're in control of your game and you get all the praise in the world. And a lot of the times it is deserved. But if you have a shitty series or a shitty game, like Jalen Brunson was terrible in the first 2 games of this series and they won anyway, you won't get nearly as much flack as someone that is in a tier or 2 above you.
Yeah.
Because it's not expected that you do that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's why like that's the thing about Jason Tatum that drives the Celtics fans insane is because like Tatum is just high enough to get the flack.
He's on the cusp, yes.
Yeah, but doesn't get the respect that like the other top guys get. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I just said the 8th to 14th best player in the league.
Yeah, and Tatum's like 6 or 7.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
Like that might be the worst zone to be in.
Yes.
Because a lot of the times outside of Joel Embiid, all of the top 5 guys have kind of proven it. And like Tatum has proven it at times. It's not to say he hasn't proven it. It's just the consistency that like Jokic has had, for example, who's like the top guy right now, or like whoever's been like the best player on a championship team.
Right. Yeah.
And I would imagine it may. I mean, you said before you were like, after Bill was like shitting all over Joel, and you were like, he just scored 50 points in game 3. Like, I was like, I would imagine that Celtics fans, not you, but other Celtics fans, probably feel that way sometimes when people shit on Jason Tatum.
Yes.
He scored 50 points in game 7 against the Sixers last year.
Yeah, it was like, he scored like 50 points at a closeout. He's like, no. So honestly, here's a perfect example. Okay, you want a perfect example between the cool zone and the uncool zone? Jamal Murray versus Jason Tatum. Cool zone versus uncool zone. That is like that is a pitch perfect example.
It is versus harassment for sure.
Yes, like Jason Tatum and Jamal Murray are like very similar players when it comes to that. Where Jason Tatum will be absolute fucking dog shit an entire game and turn it on to do just enough to get it over the line. And when Jason Tatum does it, it's like, oh, this fucking bum. Of course he did it like right at the end. He sucks. Like. He dodged the slander, but when Jamal Murray does it, it's like, hey, Jamal Murray, he did it again. Play off Jamal.
Does it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the difference is that Tatum has had, especially this year, has had basically a super team around him.
Yeah.
And the difference is that Jamal just has Jokic. So
yeah.
Like they're going to be in every game no matter what because Jokic is on the team.
Yeah.
But Ant, that's a good one. Ant has absolutely entered the cool zone this year.
Yeah.
Ant is also is just cool. So it's like that helps on top. Most of these
Tyrese is, somebody said it earlier, Tyrese is kind of the cool zone.
Yeah, Maxey's I would say Anthony Edwards is firmly in the cool zone now.
Yes.
Last night put Maxey on the cusp of it. Like Maxey, I love Maxey. I think if you want to be considered a top 12 player in the NBA, you have to be able to carry lineup sometimes. And that's still the thing that he struggles with. And I think he'll get there. When he's 24, 25, 26, I think that the team will get better around him. And I think he'll get better as a passer and a playmaker. But right now, he's the best number 2 option in the NBA who's not good enough to be a number 1, which is why I think he's probably at the end of that cool zone.
This is my favorite thing the podcast has come up with since Bucks posting.
Yes.
I like this one. Good job by you. The person who just invented the cool zone as a phrase.
Yeah.
I like appropriating it for this though.
Yeah. Also, Hallie before he got injured is another really good one, where he was like a top 15 player in the regular season this year.
That's a good one, except he didn't fool Bloch or I.
He didn't what?
He didn't fool Bloch or me.
Yeah.
I continue to think the Pacers are frauds, just strictly based on Halliburton. That's my.
I see SH saying Booker's in the cool zone.
Mm.
I think Booker's leaving the cool zone right now.
Yes. Booker's leaving the cool zone.
I think I overrated him massively, and I think that people are starting to regress on their former opinions of Booker.
Yeah.
As a pure number one, I still think he could be a great number two, and maybe in the right situation could be number one, where it's like you build a team similar to how the Heat have built around Jimmy Butler, something like that. But I think right now we have to consider that Booker's probably moving down and out, because people have really been shitting on Booker this playoff.
Yeah. Snoozer, Trill listed AD as an example at the top for cool zoner. He's definite cool zoner.
Yeah, I would say that the cool zone Hall of Fame of recent players for me is Anthony Davis. Although he's gotten slander lately, that's in his prime. He didn't get nearly as much slander.
Yeah,
AD, Jimmy Butler, Damian Lillard, and now the guys like Brunson, Ant, Maxey, all moving into it. Guys like Booker are falling out of it.
I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is speed running the cool zone. I think he entered it. I think he entered it this year. I think he's still in it, but he is about to exit the second the Thunder have a shitty playoffs. He's going to exit it. I think he ran through it for one season. Yeah. Speed run. Cool zone speed run. Yeah.
Because they went from irrelevant to contender overnight. And even though we all saw it coming, he was somehow that might even be the best position to be in, where you can just almost skirt the cool zone entirely. Yeah. Where it's you don't even have although I guess you do have the pressure and the expectations now. If they flame out in the next series, I know they just swept and they took care of the Pelicans like it was nothing. But if they get if they lose to the Clippers or the Mavericks in the next series, or they get smacked in the conference finals, then we might have a little bit of a he gets benefit of the doubt though. First year of a good team, everyone always gets benefit of the doubt, I think. Yeah. Even though he's older than Luka somehow. Yeah. So cool zone, that's a keeper for the YKB canon. That will be tucking in for future use as well. Let's move on to the Lakers portion, because they're done. We tried to say all year, don't get your hopes up about the Lakers or the Warriors. They're only going to disappoint you. They might be able to win a series, sure, but neither of these teams are contenders. The fact that we've talked about them as much as we have is kind of disgusting. But now they lose. Honestly, it's the same thing I feel about the Sixers and the Knicks. Even if the Knicks won that series in 5 and the series was over last night, that was a great series. Did I think that the Lakers had a shot at any point at any time? Not really. I was maybe they could push it to 6 or 7.
You said this on the stream, and I think you credit it to one of your friends, somebody about what the Nuggets devil magic is and how and you were so right about that, is the Kansas City Chiefs devil magic, and that's exactly what the series felt like. Losing to the Chiefs 4 times in a row.
Yes.
Which is this is what is driving my brother-in-law insane right now about football, is he just hates the Chiefs, and he's always rooting against the Chiefs. So every playoffs I have to watch him basically what just happened to Lakers fans, where he's rooting so hard against the Chiefs. It's a close game. And
this was how Jets fans felt during the entire Patriots dynasty.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's the patch shit again. Yes. Yeah. So, and it probably is a little bit of a tip about the Nuggets that we're comparing them to the Chiefs and Patriots. I don't know. That might mean something.
Are we projecting here a little bit? Possibly.
Maybe.
But the Lakers won 75% of the minutes in this series. They lost in 5 games.
That's crazy.
It's really, I know last year we joked the most competitive sweep. I joked this year was the most competitive gentleman sweep of all time.
Yep.
But it is that it almost feels like they were fucking with them. Like, you can do whatever you want. We know when shit gets serious, our offense is going to get a better shot than your offense, and Jamal Murray's going to hit some bullshit that he hasn't been able to hit all fucking game. And I actually got owned by Jamal in that because I've been firmly, and I'm still in this camp. Even if he continues to own me, maybe Jamal Murray will. I like Jamal Murray, but maybe he'll just be my new Jimmy Butler from the standpoint of, wow, you should just. I gotta give it to the haters. They were right again about me.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I was wrong. Hand it to him. But the Jamal Murray thing, I kept saying throughout the whole thing, I was like, this is, and I stole this from a Jokic fan that I know, who is like, Jamal is one of the most overrated players in the NBA, and he's a Jokic merchant. But I basically was like, I don't think playoff Jamal Murray is a real thing. I don't think that any player who's like a top 30 player in the regular season can be a top 12 player in the playoffs. I just don't believe that it's possible. Like, can you do it on a season? Yes. Can you do it maybe even 2 seasons like he's done? Absolutely. I refuse to believe that you can do it every fucking year. Like, if he'd continue, like, the Wolves series will be the real test.
yes.
They have an incredible defense. And if he doesn't, I'm fully owned. I just take the L, and Jamal Murray is, for some reason, 4 tiers above where he is in the regular season in the playoffs. But until I see it, they won a championship last year, and I'm like, until I see it against the fucking Hornets in December, I won't believe it. But I'm not taking the L until he does it again to the Timberwolves, who didn't have Jaden McDaniels, by the way, last year.
I'm really excited for that series. I'm more excited for that series than anything that's going to happen between now and the East champion being crowned. Like, this is the most important series. This will probably be the second most important series in the playoffs besides the finals, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine it probably is. Yeah, I think that this injury aside, obviously, this determines possibly who even wins the finals, because I think that I might have even underrated the Wolves. If Ant plays the way that he did, he's not going to be as good as he was in the Suns series, because the Suns defense is pathetic. Yeah. But if Ant is that dude already, then I might have underestimated their chances to win the finals if they beat the Nuggets. And I still think I'd take the Nuggets in that series, but man, the Wolves look really good. And the Lakers are not the Wolves. Like, the Wolves are legit a two-way force defensively. Like, they are just really hard to score on, even with Jokic, who solves every fucking defense. I'm just really excited to see it. I think it's going to be probably an all-time series, I would imagine. But I think the Wolves have a real shot, and I think they have a chance to go to the NBA Finals. But back to the Lakers part of this. LeBron, obviously, after the game, does his little coded, I don't know, maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe I'm leaving.
He showed KD. He said, "Oh, KD, what's that? You had the coach assassination piece ready to go in an hour? Watch this. 15 minutes. Boom."
He texted Shams immediately. Drop that shit.
Yeah.
Like Funk Flex, dropping bombs. DJ Academics on his stream. Yeah.
Shams had that shit scheduled, dude. Like, that was fucking.
So we know what's happening. Jamal Murray's gonna hit some bullshit, then I'll send out this hit piece.
Yeah.
By the way, the Lakers are now twerking for LeBron again. Look, LeBron, he's my GOAT. Like, I'm never gonna. I think they're better off unless they can get Donovan Mitchell this offseason. I kind of think they're better off just moving on.
Yeah.
Like, long-term wise. Now, next few years, sure. Yeah, maybe you'll continue to do what you do, and it will break right one year, and you can get back to the conference finals. With Wemby coming up, and with Jokic, and with this Timberwolves team, and some of these other teams that are in that middle tier.
The Thunder are still there.
Thunder.
Luka hasn't left yet. Maybe the Clippers also fall out, but, like, the Kings might get better.
We talked about Memphis and Houston possibly.
Yeah, Memphis is going to be back next year. Like,
the West is going to be even harder next year. And you really only have the only thing that you have is the fact that you are the Lakers, and the Lakers have wriggled their ways out of many jams before.
Yes.
But I kind of think that they're better off just being like, look, we won a championship. We go back to the conference finals. You're 40 years old now. Like, it's probably best to just move on. Now, they think like a small business, and they're like, LeBron sells tickets, and we want to make a lot of money. So, like, obviously, we're going to bring LeBron back until he doesn't want to play for us anymore. But just from a contention standpoint, they have now basically paid off all their picks to the Pelicans. They protected the pick that they sent to the Jazz in the D'Angelo Russell trade. Like, they could do, I don't want to say they should fully tear it down, but like they could pivot and just set themselves up to be contenders long-term and get back to the point where it's like you have a LeBron or an AD or someone coming to you that helps you contend. Now, I would throw all this out the window if Donovan Mitchell's interested in going there and the Cavs would actually consider that. Because I think if you add Donovan Mitchell to AD and LeBron, that's at least a little bit more interesting to me. I wouldn't with Trae Young. I know Trae's your guy, but like I don't think that he makes a difference in this West.
I might have to give up the ghost on that if he's not ending up on the Spurs.
If he's the second guy to Wemby, sure,
Spurs,
maybe.
The Spurs are kind of like he needs a situation like that.
I still kind of think it would be like Dame and Giannis though. Like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, does Wemby really want to set screens and dive? Like he's Wemby, dude. Giannis doesn't want to do that, and Wemby's going to be a better offensive player than Giannis.
That's true. Trae Young is a way better passer than Damian Lillard.
He is. Yeah,
absolutely. He's a way better he's way better understanding that stuff.
Yeah, and the Spurs are apparently leaning towards drafting Rob Dillingham. Okay. Apparently,
is that true or because I saw the report? Does Rob want to go? Like, yeah, I bet Rob Dillingham, small guard, wants to go where Wemby is. Like, sure. That's an awesome situation.
Pretty great.
Yeah.
I bet you every guy at the top of this draft wants to go to the Spurs when the other alternatives are the Pistons, the Wizards, and the Hornets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so I do think that the Lakers might be better off moving on from LeBron. I think it sounds like they're considering drafting Bronny, which more power to you. I just think it's a mistake. I think it's just, you're just throwing more shit at something that has run its course.
I'm about to fix 3 teams right now. Are you ready?
Let's go.
So when LeBron left Cleveland in 2010, it was a sign and trade, and Cleveland actually got a first-round pick back in that sign and trade. Something similar is going on here. However, 3-way sign and trade. LeBron James to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay.
Donovan Mitchell to the Miami Heat. And Jimmy Butler
to the Lakers.
AD
having to load manage AD and Jimmy Butler.
Let's go. And the Lakers get a pick out of this. So
yeah, I mean, that's not the kind of trade I was thinking if they do move on from LeBron. I mean, honestly,
everyone's happy. Everyone's happy in that situation. I'm just putting that out there.
We've talked about this before, but if LeBron leaves the Lakers, he's too famous to live in random, regular places.
Agreed, but Cleveland is different.
Cleveland is the exception. I agree. Yes. He's already lived there for the majority of his life. I don't disagree with that point.
Yeah.
Cleveland is different. If we want to consider other places he could live, he could skirt across town to the Clippers and be like Paul George sign and trade, or Paul George goes to another team and then stuff goes to them.
That would be funny.
I don't really get that for the Lakers, but I'm just spitballing here.
I think he's better than any of the Clippers guys, especially if Kawhi is cooked.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's also a chance where he goes to the Knicks. Knicks are rebuilt. They're rebuilding their situation with Clutch right now. LeBron probably only wants to play for 2 more years anyway. If he wants to consider playing at the Garden, I mean, God, it's not a perfect fit, but like it's pretty good. Like LeBron's still amazing. LeBron's in the cool zone.
God, the Lakers having to get Randall out of that. But
Randall, Bojan, and like 3 first-round picks or something, or like 2 because it's a sign and trade.
Yeah, it's a lot of Well, yeah, I mean, you have to do the sign and trade because it is essentially a trade at that point. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm interested. That could work. That could work, honestly.
The only other teams that could be considered are the Miami Heat, who, I mean, I don't think the Heat would ever say.
Pat Riley's a spiteful bitch, though.
No. Pat Riley has said on record he would be open to LeBron coming back.
I believe it when I see it. I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's happening.
Pat Riley's fucking a SPO merchant anyway. Fuck him.
Yeah, exactly.
The Nets, that's never happening. I just don't see it unless the Nets make like a series of trades that make them like hyper competitive. And then the other team would be the Sixers, commuting from New York.
JJ Redick.
He loves JJ
in the pitch meeting. Yeah,
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. You get Chiodo in a room with LeBron. He's signing day one of free agency, dude. Chiodo could lay out a plan and be like, "Listen, did you see Nick Batum in the play-in game? We were thinking a similar kind of take Kyle Lowry's role, mix it with Nick Batum's role. You get to be the best role player in the NBA for a season, and then in the playoffs, when Joel Embiid is sweating his life away and he looks like he's about to throw up on himself, you and Maxey cook, and you go to the finals. And LeBron's like, first off, you're a genius.
I want this movie. I want this like a heist movie, like Ocean's 11, where Josh Harris comes to Chiodo as like kind of like a I'll stop the Center City shit and leave it where it is. But I need you to put together a team. I need you to put together a team to get us LeBron. And it's Chiodo going in and recruiting all of the Sixers Twitter. Like he goes to Florida to get Panasonic Matt in the room.
Let's go. I've assembled a team.
I've assembled the team. Gonna like call in Parm to be there.
Mike Levin, he lives in LA. Call him up. He's got a podcast. He's writing a movie for Emma Stone. Like we could make this work. I really do think we could be. Hey, the Sixers might get a Philly might get a WNBA team in the next few years. LeBron, you want to have a little co-ownership?
Let's go.
Sixers ownership group expands to be with LeBron. Let's go, dude. Fanatics, which is a company we all trust and love.
I was so good. That was so funny when that baseball stuff was coming out. It was like, yeah, Nike was trying a lot of stuff that we weren't used to. And somebody put the guy, I forget the politician, it was at like Purdue or someone, it was like totally exonerated, no wrongdoing. And it was that, but with the Fanatics people were trying to fucking pin it on Nike, the shitty uniforms. It was awesome.
Don't worry about it, by the way. Fanatics is they're buying 2,000 tickets and giving them out to first responders in Philadelphia for the game so we don't get outnumbered by Knicks fans.
If there's one thing I know, it's definitely that a New Jersey cop definitely won't root for the Knicks. There's no way this could go bad.
Let's go. Better be South Jersey and not Central. I'll tell you that much. John Stewart, you're on notice, dude. You're from Lawrence. That's closer to Philadelphia than it is to New York. I know all you Central Jersey people like to pretend like you're from fucking New York. You're closer to Philadelphia, dude. Stop disowning us. I'm sick of your shit. Oh, I commute to Manhattan. Oh, I was in Manhattan the day the towers came down. I don't give a fuck.
There we go. We got our 9/11.
Come on. You're a 45-minute drive away.
Let's go.
It's a joke. Fucking disowning us. James Murphy from LCD Soundsystem. You're from fucking Princeton, dude. New York is letting you down. You're letting Philadelphia down, dude. God damn. Anyway.
Proven. Yeah. LCD says
that was a little bit of awful coaching. I apologize.
LCD Soundsystem, by the way,
just always ruining our lives.
Yeah, they're the music scene's Julius Randle. Just completely overrated for Pure what it wants.
I agree.
Sorry to
make one of their songs. James, I do like your live DJ sets. I've seen him live twice. He's good. Good DJ. Okay. The band's a little overrated in my opinion too.
Yes. Agreed.
What's the one where that has like the long build up and it's like
all of them? No, that's my beef with LCD Soundsystem. I have a tweet where I'm like, how can I make this 3-minute song 6 minutes long? LCD Soundsystem. That is the central concept of the band. Is here's a tight 3-minute track. Let's make it 6 minutes long.
That was also how Kendrick Lamar responded to Drake.
Yeah,
7 minutes with 4 different beats that don't match at all.
He
said some shit.
I was gonna say, didn't he say he had like a 40-minute long version? Like, wasn't there like heavy editing involved?
Okay.
I don't know if that's true. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's just he just starts listing off fucking in 10th grade in your English class, you got a C-.
Yeah.
At what point are you fucking talking? What do you even have to talk about after 10 minutes of it?
Yeah, I think. So normally when LeBron says like I'm leaving, I assume it's a leverage play, and I bet he probably doesn't want to go play anywhere else. But here's the thing: he won the title in LA. He's at the end of his career. It's not like he's settling in for another 4. Yep. You know, this really is like a free, just like let me try and squeeze one more in. You know, like
sure.
And you can build another fan base if you do go to fucking New York. If he if he went to the Knicks and like
Sixers.
Or the Sixers,
Amtrak style.
The East is wide open. LeBron is very much a like where are the championship odds at? Yeah. Like I do think he would be very interested in going back to the East. I think Cavs, Knicks, even Sixers, I think that's all on the table. So
I think the last team we have to mention is the Warriors. Because the Bay Area, you can be really famous and live in the Bay Area.
Yeah, for sure.
Like he could have a normal life there. Like I said, like if he can't go live in fucking Salt Lake, like you can't be a normal, just mega celebrity and fucking live in Mormonville. Like that doesn't work.
No, it's not possible.
But you could realistically see, like I do think the Warriors aren't likely to do that trade. I mean, what would it even look like? I guess it would be like Bill's idea, which was like Kuminga, Wiggins, and like 2 first-round picks or something because it's a sign and trade.
I just don't think LeBron. I think LeBron sees Curry as an equal too much. I think he's like Curry is like the only guy LeBron sees as like his rival. You know, like
he wants to play with him though. He said before, greatest shooter of all time.
He's also a liar.
What's that?
LeBron is also a generational liar,
and he also was trying to recruit him to the Lakers. I think. I don't think he wanted to go to the Warriors. I think it was the reverse. So
yeah.
But yeah, JJ Redick. Tell LeBron about fucking commuting from Brooklyn to New York or to Philadelphia, dude. You have a podcast with him now. No excuses, dude. It'll be easier for you, too. You could just live back on the East Coast. Don't take the Hornets job. Stay in New York. Have a podcast with LeBron. You don't have to travel back and forth between New York and LA all the time. It's just easier. Just do that, JJ Redick. The only thing you could ever do for the fucking Sixers. Jesus Christ, dude. Anyway. So
Will just shared some very important information with me.
What's that?
So Entangled. Rapunzel is 17 turning 18. Flynn Rider is 26 years old canonically Entangled. Canceled.
Oh. I had no idea I don't know what any of that meant.
Oh yeah, Tangled is an animated movie from DreamWorks.
Sam, you got to save it for when the Sixers or the Celtics fucking lose, dude.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, I'll keep it in the back pocket for
unbelievable,
for dude. Do we want to do one more off-season thing? We got a half hour. I'm not sure. We
could do an off-season thing. We could do a little. Do you want to just touch on the Pelicans season being over real quick?
I feel bad. Like I'll piss off Thunder. Thunder fans are always all 7 of the Thunder fans that listen to this podcast get mad at me. But it's like it's very annoying that the national media are guilty of this too. We're treating this like nobody believed in the Thunder, and look at them. They did it. They beat the juggernaut Pelicans, and it's like
without Zion.
Yeah, and it's like I'm sorry, like that You were supposed to win this
Good,
series.
dude. Thunder are good. You got to give. I mean, look,
Yeah,
you got
they're
all you
fine.
can do
Yeah,
is
they're
beat
good.
who's ahead of you. They're a good team.
Look, and I'll say this. Here's what I'll say for the Thunder. Okay, they got the number 1 seed, and part of the benefit of having the number 1 seed is you get to play shitty teams.
Yeah.
So like that is a benefit. It is not like when the Lakers played a bunch of shitty teams out of the 7th seed. Part of the thing with being the 1 seed is you get the shitty teams. So
I get it.
That is by design.
They handled their
Yeah.
business. They did.
Yeah.
They almost lost game 1, and then they fucking smoked for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So I just want to touch on this real quick. We did the Matt Ishbia Suns are fucked thing on the podcast, the Patreon episode we did last week. Apparently, he had a generational press conference where
I saw that. They were sharing the links while we were talking earlier, and I was laughing.
Matt Ishbia on the Suns. We are in a good position, or we're not in a good position. We're in a great position.
Yeah,
But
me in a saw trap.
Yeah.
When Saw asked me if I wanted to play a game. Yeah.
Bud Dwyer press conference, 1994. I feel really great about the outlook of things. I feel really good about the future.
Everything's good.
Anyway,
I got the sandwich I packed. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that
fuck.
is delusional. Only a few teams in the league would decline trading places with where the Suns are at in terms of their roster and assets. Definitely. Absolutely. You are the most...
Yeah, only a few. 29. That is technically only a few.
I thought about this a year ago. I'm sorry. I thought about this when we talked about how fucked the Timberwolves were a year ago.
Yeah.
But I think we always couched those conversations with, well, Ant could still get really fucking good.
Yes, we did.
And McDaniels can get better, and they might be able to be fine, even if they got to pay Rudy Gobert a ton and they don't win quite as much as we thought and blah, 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 and they don't have their picks and stuff. There should be no sense for optimism for the Suns. I'm sorry.
No, it's over. It's never been more over. They might be more fucked than the Nets were in 2013. Like, seriously.
It's so bad.
Did you see the guy who wrote the article about five lies people tell about the Suns? They have no picks. And
I feel bad for that guy because as someone who does this and requires a team that is just emotionally gaslighting me all the time into believing in them.
Yeah.
And I have to lie to myself sometimes and be like, the Sixers are going to be fine.
Yeah.
And also my career is potentially tied to this and my financial well-being is potentially tied to this. So that guy is doing what I'm doing, but he's a real journalist where he's like, it's fine. If anyone missed this article, a Suns reporter that writes for their Phoenix, like cool guy, all city media thing, wrote some article about basically the Suns are actually in a good position, kind of similar to what Ishbia is saying now. And people lie all the time and say they don't have any assets, they have nowhere to go. Oh, they could get stars to come to them. No, it's over, dude. You have the worst contract in the history of the NBA that has a no trade clause on it. Kevin Durant is old as fuck. Devin Booker might be staying around for this year and next year. He ain't staying there long term, dude. There's no way. What? You don't have a scouting department. You have the 22nd pick in a shit draft. Okay, what does that mean? You don't scout. You're just gonna select? Okay, the best. Not even doing a bit. The best case scenario for them is Zach Edey falls to the end of the first, and all they do is look at BPM, and Zach Edey's way better than people expect, like we talked about on the Patreon episode. Like, that is the only outcome where they might have a sliver of a chance of having some, in the not-so-distant future, optimism. But otherwise, they don't have good young players. They don't have draft picks. They have no way to make the team better. It's over. And I feel bad for that guy because he had to write that article because he's trying to lie to himself like I do about the Sixers.
The first round draft picks that they have are like multiple swaps. Like multiple swaps. Like the difference was like The Nets still got to draft like Jared Allen and like Karis LeVert.
The Nets had a scouting department.
Yes, like, but they were also like, they were trading with like the IT Celtics. They were picking like 21 or something like that. Like the Suns are going to be like, with the amount of swaps, they're essentially getting the Nuggets first round picks or something like that. And some of these, like
the 27th pick in the draft every year, basically.
Yes,
and they don't scout. And by the way, you have like a 1 in like 100 chance of hitting on a star at that point in the draft. And you're gonna need that if KD ages out and Beal ages out. Like, this isn't getting saved by. It could get saved by role players if you had a pathway to get role players, but you don't even have that.
Okay, somebody just posted this, and it's Dread, which is something I forgot about, is the like the apron things. Which, by the way, the Suns are like, with the Grayson Allen contract, the Suns are like hard in like the second apron, like not even you can't dodge it. There's no way to like dodge
unless they dumped Kevin Durant into the Sixers cap space, basically.
Yes, it would need to be something like that
scenario for them.
Yes. So Dread writes, it gets wild starting next season. Picks get frozen 7 years out in observation for 4 seasons, during which, if you're a second apron team for any 2 seasons, those picks get demoted to the end of the first. So
the swap
picking 30.
So the swap trades might have been done because they knew they were going to be in the second apron this whole time. And they might have said, well, we're going to be the last pick anyway. Why don't we just keep trading swaps for second round picks?
Yeah, maybe that is the logic, because
maybe that's the logic, but also it's so fucking dumb because eventually one of these guys asks out. And like you said, like I just said, they would be better off trading Kevin Durant into the Sixers cap space for picks and like whoever they can get back that, keeps them out of whatever, because it's over.
Right.
Like, it's like you said, it's never been more over. So them doubling down on this window that has already ended overnight. Like, someone said they speed ran the super team, but they never got the super team benefits of like getting to the finals for multiple seasons or winning a title. They just went from
winning
like
a playoff series,
winning one playoff series, and then to an injured Clippers team, and then immediately into the shitter. And everything just seems like it's cut. I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but the last thing I want to point out here, we criticized these moves at the time, by the way. This is not like the swaps thing, especially. I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. The swaps thing was so funny because they swapped all those picks to get second round picks. So if anyone missed this, they swapped a pick with so they'll get the worst of 3 teams' first round picks now in order to acquire second round picks. So they had something to trade at the deadline. They traded those picks for Royce O'Neal, for over half of them for Royce O'Neal, who they're almost certainly going to lose into free agency unless they want to pay him and go further into the tax.
Which is like, it's like literally gonna, every dollar they pay Royce O'Neal, they will have to pay $5 in luxury tax.
So if they sign Royce O'Neal to a $10 million contract, they will be signing Royce O'Neal to a $50 million a year contract.
It's like a $60 million a year contract, because you have the 5 that you give to the tax, and then the money you actually pay to him. Like, so it's cat. You are signing Royce O'Neal to a cat contract.
They already signed Grayson Allen to a larger than Karl Anthony Towns contract.
Yes.
To a larger than, if they continue to go as far into the apron as they are paying Grayson Allen they are paying for Grayson Allen the same amount of money that the Nuggets are paying for Jokic.
I can't believe Ishbia said that, dude. Like, is he gonna let himself go bankrupt? Like, just to act like he didn't do anything wrong? Like, is that what's gonna happen? Is Dan Gilbert gonna get away with it?
Oh, dude.
Mortgage king?
Yeah. I mean, Ishbia is he has speed run. The team was already kind of teetering on the edge for a little bit there. They needed to make the right moves.
Yeah.
And they made the exact wrong moves. And he has ran it into the ground. The Ishbia rule, add it to the Stepien rule, someone said. You can't swap your picks for second round picks. We're changing this rule to make it so you can't do that because it's so fucking dumb. We have to protect you from yourself.
Can I say something? I really don't think they would be that fucked. Like, I think they would be normal fucked, not like generationally fucked if it weren't for the Bradley Beal trade. That is like,
yeah.
I understand taking the swing on Kevin Durant. It hasn't worked out. I understand the logic of doing that. It was a gamble. The Bradley Beal trade had no upside. The worst contract in the NBA. You literally cannot get rid of him because he has a no trade clause. He's the only player in the NBA with a no trade clause. And like on top of that, he makes so much money still and is just generationally bad. So that's where the wheels really came off there. Because honestly, the Ayton trade was pretty good. Like all things, like relatively speaking, like
to give up Ayton,
like
and get the season Grayson Allen had and the season Nurkic had, is good value.
Yeah.
The problem is that the other moves were just fuck them.
Yeah, they were fucked. So anyway, feel bad for Suns fans. Feel bad for Streaker. Feel bad for all the
Yep.
It's a bummer. Like Suns as a fan base don't really deserve this. This should be happening to Miami Heat fans or Lakers fans or Celtics fans. Really bad people.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
So, but it's happening to Suns fans, which is sad. So when I say Celtics fans, I mean Patriots fans.
Not like you.
No.
So I do want to touch on the Pelicans thing real quick because we'll save the rebuilding shitty teams for the next Patreon episode. We'll talk a little bit more. The last episode we talked about the Pistons and their draft prospects in this upcoming offseason and free agency stuff. We'll save that for the Patreon episode. The Pelicans, where do they go from here? Because
they're fine.
I think they're fine too. I'm not saying they're fucked. I'm just saying their season's over. They were, the 8th seed. They almost missed the playoffs entirely because of the poorly timed Zion injury. But hey, what else is new? He gets hurt. It's an extreme version of the Joel Embiid thing.
I was literally waiting for you to stop talking, and I was going to say those exact words. The exact word I was going to use was the extreme version of the Joel Embiid thing.
What if Joel literally never played in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Instead of just getting hurt before the playoffs or in the playoffs every year.
Yeah.
So Zion, obviously, so from what I've heard and just reading tea leaves and some general reports that have been thrown out there, it sounds like one of Ingram or CJ is going to get moved this offseason. Probably Ingram because he's a year away from getting paid.
Also, he's not as bad as CJ.
Yes, and he's a much more desirable trade target for the majority of teams. He's a wing. First off, that's every team's looking for wings, even if he doesn't do, and he's basically a tall guard.
Yes.
He doesn't do any wing things, but he is wing sized at least.
Right.
So he has more trade value in theory. He's 1 year away from getting paid, which I think that hurts his value. I think if he was traded a year or two ago, he would have gotten more back in return. But what Griffin said and what I've heard too is that they have basically, they've sussed this out for years. They figured out they need to have a big upgrade rotation because their bigs are just not good enough right now. They need to trade Ingram. Potentially, the hope is that they could trade Ingram and picks for a star. And then the untouchables for them are Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, and Zion Williamson. I think everyone else is pretty much on the table. Najee Marshall's a free agent this offseason. Jonas Valanciunas is a free agent this offseason. Oh. And I think that the Pelicans this offseason, it's kind of annoying to me as a Sixers fan because we need more sellers than buyers. And the Jazz and the Pelicans and all these other teams deciding to be buyers this offseason might end up fucking some of the Sixers' potential plans, but that's besides the point here. I think they trade Ingram and picks, like 2 or 3 first-round picks, for a legit upgrade for whoever becomes available.
It's probably just going to be a guard by virtue of who's available, I think. There's a lot
Donovan
more
Mitchell,
guards.
Trae Young,
Or DeJounte Murray, probably.
DeJounte, sure.
Yeah. And there's other, we'll see who else like shakes loose with some of this other stuff, but like there's, there's all kinds of other different guys. I just think what I was trying to do is I was trying to figure out what teams need Brandon Ingram, and there's not a lot of teams.
I want to be fair to Brandon Ingram because he was really bad in the playoffs, but I don't think that this is who he is. I think he's playing through an injury right now. And I think that he's not exactly what he was in the Suns series a few years ago, but he's somewhere in between those two players, which is basically a not as good version of DeMar DeRozan, who's historically been almost impossible to fit on good teams because he doesn't shoot threes and he doesn't play defense and he likes to have the ball a lot. I mean, like I kind of said, someone compared him to Tobias. He was on his list of Tobias Harris players.
Yeah.
And someone said, is he a Tobias? And the thing is I actually think Brandon Ingram might be worse in a role player role than Tobias, because Tobias will at least shoot open threes and try on defense. He's not good at either of those things, but he will do it. And Brandon Ingram is seemingly refuses to shoot threes. Like the majority of his threes are pull-ups. He doesn't shoot catch and shoots. He is a crazy ball stopper.
Yeah.
And I think defensively he's kind of a nightmare. But like I said, DeMar DeRozan, you give him the ball and he's going to have random games where he has 40 points and you need that throughout the course of a regular season. Like you need someone to keep you afloat, especially the reason why I think he's been so important to the Pelicans because Zion is always hurt and they need someone to steady the ship when Zion is out. Now, when Zion plays, he caps their ceiling. When Zion's out, he's much more important and essential to the team. Also, hold on. Do me a favor real quick. Someone look up and see what is Tobias's career high on 3-point attempts and what is Brandon Ingram's I don't think Brandon Ingram has shot more than 3 threes in a game since 2019. He doesn't do it. Like, and if he doesn't adjust his role, good teams are not going to be interested in him.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know who, I don't know. Like, well, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to think of like what team would like even want him, and I don't know. Like, would it have to be something like the Trailblazers trading Jeremy Grant and like, like I hate that. Like Brandon Ingram and Ayton on the same team while you're trying to develop young guys.
Two different teams here. I think that could be potential, and I did hear someone told me that this was potential. The Jazz, if they're buying, because the Jazz are just interested in everyone. The Jazz were interested in Drew Holiday when he became available. They are always in on whoever the guy, like Danny's just going to see what the price is.
Yeah.
And with their spacing, hey, maybe it works. I don't know. The other trade that I heard was, okay, so he shot 6 threes per game in his 2 best years, but every other year it's 3.5 or 4. Tobias shoots 2.9 catch and shoots, and Brandon Ingram shoots 2.5. So he does shoot less than Tobias. The thing about Ingram that's more frustrating, though, is that he's a better shooter than Tobias. He doesn't shoot threes, but he's a better shooter. That's what drives me so insane. He's been under 4 threes per game the last 2 years. I really do think if he were able to change his game, because it's not like DeMar where he just really can't shoot threes, he's able to do it. And if he buys into a role, there might be a world where he can be a second guy on a really good team with like an elite front court guy. But I think the teams that are interested in him are like the Jazz. And then I hate to say it, and I hate to do it to Pistons fans, but I really think they're like, if they don't sign Tobias, I think they're going to be in on Brandon Ingram. I see some people say the Garland for Ingram challenge trade. I don't really get that for either. I don't get it. Are they also trading Donovan Mitchell? Like, I don't know.
The Pistons, Brandon Ingram on the Pistons made my heart sad. That's like Oh
That's
God.
Cade and Ingram. Like
Oh.
those two don't fit together at all.
They will shoot 25% on threes for a year. Like,
Let's go.
Asar Thompson, they would be so sad without Asar Thompson. But I think the Pelicans are going to want a good player back. I don't think the Pistons work. It'd have to be a 3-team deal or something.
Well,
like
unless
that.
they're interested, unless they want Duren, and the Pistons are willing to do it.
Oh my God! If the Pistons traded Duren for Brandon Ingram, I'm asking the Red Cross to deploy help to Detroit. Yeah. God damn, dude. Like, Duren is better than Brandon Ingram right now, in my opinion. I would not trade. Oh my God. Oof.
I don't know if that's true. Duren's got a long way to go still. I think that we got a little bit overhyped on him early in the season, but
Brandon Ingram. I have no use for Brandon Ingram. I'm sorry. Brandon Ingram is
I can't think of a team that would use. He is the hardest player to kind of figure out because he like I said, he's a not quite as good version of DeMar where and
Sean's
DeMar
got it. Bulls.
What's that?
Bulls. Sean's got it. That's what it is.
I know it's the Bulls. It's one of these teams like the Bulls or the Nets or one of those teams. But like, who are they trading on the Bulls to make that trade happen?
Zach LaVine.
Why would the Pelicans do that? If LaVine's coming off surgery, he has foot surgery and was already like questionably like impacting. Honestly, the thing about LaVine is that he at least will shoot threes.
I've seen LaVine be good. I've never seen Brandon Ingram be good. Given that like LaVine will like be bad for a season and a half and he does get hurt, but like Zach LaVine, like when he's locked in, that's the thing is he will lock out. He will lock out. But he will be okay. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time figuring out where Ingram fits at all. I do not want him on the Sixers. Don't put that evil on me. We just dealt with Tobias Harris for so long, and Ingram is better than Tobias Harris, I think. But I just don't think that he will do any role player things. Like all the things that drive me insane about Tobias, but if he was even more talented and refused to do them, I would go insane.
Man, I can't even think. Brandon Ingram to the Hawks. Let's fucking go.
This is so depressing. I love that this is where we've gotten.
Clint Capella for Brandon Ingram.
Also, I do love that the whole Ingram's the peak of his career so far was the Sun series 2 years ago, when it's like the Suns were missing their best player, right? Wasn't Booker out for chunk of that series?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I know Zion was also out for the Pelicans, to be fair, but that team was also massively fraudulent. That Suns team, it was a huge fraud. They lost in the next round, and they were missing Booker for most of that series.
Some dumb GM will give Griff real value for Ingram, though. I don't know who it is. Normally, the answer is Troy Weaver.
The Kings, I'm like, no.
God,
don't. The Kings are fun.
Oh, that would be such a bummer, dude, if they traded him to the Kings for like Herter and Murray. Oh my God.
I would rather have Keegan Murray.
Yeah, I would rather have Keegan Murray as well. Yes. Keegan Murray's good. I know he had a bad year this year, but like he's good. I've seen enough.
Easier
Keegan
to
Murray's
on
good.
A good team.
Yes. Yeah. So
it's tough for me to see where he could end up. Now, look, maybe there's a team I'm not thinking of right now that comes out of the woodwork, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I struggle to see Brandon Ingram. I struggle to see a playoff team that is good enough to take the ball out of their best player's hands and give it to Brandon Ingram and remain a playoff team.
My God. There it is. Charlotte. Yeah. Charlotte.
So what's the trade? LaMelo?
Like one of their bigs, like Nick Richards or
I mean, that's nothing.
The
Pelicans want a good player back. Nick Richards is like a backup center.
I'm just saying they have some interesting. You can poo platter it, and I think that's a good trade for Brandon Ingram because he sucks.
Yeah, isn't Brandon Miller just a better version of Brandon Ingram though?
Yes, he is. Yes, he's a much better player than Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, I don't really see the Hornets' new front office doing this.
Are they smart now? Are we sure about that?
Did we like their deadline? They got a first round pick for
That was pretty good.
A very lightly protected first round pick that's far out from the Mavericks for PJ Washington.
They got a better player and a pick. That was
they
pretty
did
good,
not get a better player, but they did get a pick.
They did. Grant Williams will be back. Grant Williams will on the Pelicans is going to feed families next year.
And then they got a first round pick and potentially a good first round pick. Miami picks are never good, but
yeah.
They did get an unprotected first round pick for Terry Rozier.
Man, dude. Brandon Ingram, talk about unstoppable force, immovable object. Coach Spo trying to coach Brandon Ingram.
Oh no, I would love it if he went to the Heat. He would be amazing if he went to the Heat. Let's be honest. Brandon Ingram is talented. He's just a frustrating player.
Do you think Spo could Spo is the GOAT.
Of course he would figure it out, dude.
Yeah. God.
I can't imagine Spo getting him to play defense, but I could imagine everything else being good.
That might be the one then.
Honestly, if Jimmy wants out and they're like, we want it, their whole thing is we want to find a guy who is on Bam Adebayo's timeline. And if Donovan Mitchell or Trae Young ain't going there, Brandon Ingram's pretty much the only other guy.
Brandon Ingram and picks for Jimmy. New Orleans Jimmy.
Oh my God.
Jimmy with Zion? Let's go. Oh my God, dude. Jimmy would there would be legal workplace things if Jimmy had it was Zion's thing. Yeah. Jimmy showing up at his house at 3 a.m. to set his fridge on fire. I need this to happen.
Jimmy Butler doing daily BMI tests.
I think the Pelicans could benefit from Jimmy's bullshit more than any other team.
Yeah. Mardi Gras Jimmy might be another level.
Oh my God, Mardi Gras Jimmy. This would
Cafe Du Monde fucking drinking big face coffee.
Oh my God, dude. I think Jimmy would like it there. I kind of like that trade, honestly.
The vibe would be good. I mean, that would be a very weird fit between him and Zion because they occupied the same exact part of the court.
That's true.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of shooters. You have Herb Jones.
It would be good. I mean, it would be clunky but good.
It's a little clunky, but you have Herb Jones. You still have Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. Jimmy and Zion are both going to miss 40 games. So you have one starter.
What if it's not Jimmy, though? What if it's Tyler Hero and picks going the other way for Ingram?
You think it's Ingram then? Because I think that's more likely to be for CJ. But I don't know. Yeah, no, they wouldn't trade Tyler Hero for CJ. I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, they don't need another small guard, really, or guard that doesn't play defense.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't really like that archetype for the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans just need no shitters. Because you're cooked if Zion's hurt anyway. They've done awesome
of Zion plus no shitters.
Yes, that, and that'll be awesome. I think you get a center who is a solid starting center. You get who can space the floor a little bit and provide a little bit of spacing. And Herb Jones and Trey Murphy, you were set for so long on the wing, which is a really hard thing for a lot of teams to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that they're kind of in a similar position where they figured out most of the hard stuff. It's the easiest thing to get is a playable center.
Yeah,
which they need, and then they need a second star that fits well with Zion. Honestly, now that I think about the Ingram for Garland thing, I don't hate that. I don't think Darius Garland just sucks now. I refuse to believe that he's bad. I mean, maybe he is just in this Brandon Ingram space of guy who made an all-star team very young and peaks.
Yeah. I think it's a good situation for Garland. I think Garland needs a situation like the Pelicans where he's got just elite defenders or perimeter defenders and Alvarado backing him up and all of that other stuff. He's going to make it.
Yeah. I don't love the Donovan Mitchell Mobley, Allen, Ingram fit. That's kind of gross. But
I think they should do it for Jared Allen.
Well, yeah. If they're willing to trade Jared Allen, sure. They've made offers for Jared Allen in the past, and the Cavs just say no every time.
Isn't it like insane that the Cavs got Jared Allen in that fucking Harden trade somehow? That's like one of the biggest trades of all time.
Yeah, I had a tweet that day like, wait, Jared Allen's really good and he's 22. Why is this happening?
Yeah, that was like malpractice by the fucking Rockets. What was going on there? Like,
well, they wanted to tank, so they took an extra first-round pick, and I think Victor Oladipo's expiring contract because they didn't want to pay Jared Allen. They didn't want to pay anyone until they knew that what they were doing, and then they ended up overpaying for Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks anyway. It's not like Jared Allen would have made you good enough.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who cares? People get too caught up on like being bad. It doesn't matter. Like the Raptors tanked, and they're a better than 50% chance that they're going to lose this pick this year, which, by the way, would be good for them.
Oh, no. Hold on. They had protected picks going to OKC, if I remember correctly. So they had to be bad. They had like top 3 protected picks. So they couldn't even be like Raptors 6 odds. They had to have bottom 3 odds or they lost their picks to OKC. Because Morey traded it for Westbrook.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah. They would have had to SGA him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Send Jared Allen to a farm.
Yeah. It's fine. It's malpractice.
I get if your picks are that bad. And the funny thing is, who did they walk away with those picks? Jalen Green and Jabari Smith. But if you make the right picks there, it looks really smart. Because all their better picks actually came later.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing I'm always talking about is it doesn't really matter. Like, your high picks are your bad ones, and Alperen Şengün and Tyrese and Cam Whitmore are your better players.
This is why you acquire as many picks as possible, though. This is why you rebuild.
Sure. Yeah. You don't need to be that bad. You don't need to be that bad.
In their situation, they needed to be that bad to get the opportunity to make the picks.
I'm saying in general,
that's a unique scenario. Most teams don't have. If they've traded all their picks, they're usually unprotected for a star.
That's why I don't think the Nets are that fucked. Like,
the pick they got ended up being Josh Christopher too, so that was a complete waste of a pick. But once again, that's why you do a process. We're gonna miss on some shit.
Yeah.
You give yourself a wider margin for error if you get 100,000 picks and you miss on 50% of them. But yeah. Anyway.
Will, that's literally gonna happen to you with the Suns. So get ready. Get ready to learn Matt Ishbia, buddy.
For anyone who's listening, Will said Sam is like, you could just compete and rebuild. Just have another team give you top 3 picks every year. It's really that simple.
The Celtics are an insane thing because the Celtics had an OKC level of success. It wasn't that they had the top 3 picks; it's that they nailed their top 3 picks. That's the fucking difference. They got really fucking lucky. That the Celtics rebuild doesn't look that good if the Lakers take Tatum instead of Lonzo Ball, or if they draft Chris Dunn instead of Jaylen Brown. It's just drafting.
I can't believe we're having this conversation again.
Oh my God. We're gonna do a 9-hour podcast at some point where I am going to go insane about this. It's not real. It's like that stupid Monte Carlo problem where it's like, if there's 3 doors and one of them's wrong and you switch your pick, statistically, it's better odds. It's like mathematics. It's the same fucking thing. It's not fucking real. It's technically true, but on paper, it is not fucking real. God,
I had someone ask, they said, can you guys do a podcast where you do the worst teams in the NBA and you fix their situation? And I said, we've tried to do this like 5 different times before, and every time it just ends up with me and Sam arguing over whether tanking is bad or not. I was like, we can't do it again.
We're gonna do it again until the end. The great tanking debate.
All right,
Locked in.
go watch your Celtics destroy
I don't
the
want to.
the demons.
I'm saying right now, I'm telling all our listeners who already know that the Celtics have lost this game, that going into this game, I'm very confident. I'm totally normal. Everything I just said was like, oh, I'll be fine. Like, even if they lose this game, it's fine. I will not be fine. If they lose this game tonight, I will be in a horrible mood for 2 days. So
Same
I'm glad we're
exact
getting
for
this out of
me.
the way tonight. Yeah.
Possibly longer for the Sixers because their season's over. I will be in a horrible mood all the time.
No.
But thank you for listening if you're still listening.
Yes.
Sign up for the Patreon if you have not already.
Check it out.
Thank you guys for joining. We'll be back. I'll be back Thursday night for Game 6, Sixers Knicks on playback. Join me.
I will be seated. Undefeated. I owe it to Sixers fans because undefeated while Trill and I are there for the end of the stream. So
let's go.
All right. Peace.
Peace.